Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live event this evening. This event is brought to you. You're welcome. You're all welcome. I can't start naming people, but you're all welcome, and I'm sure people will be joining us as well. So if you're joining us on Zoom, joining us on Facebook, you're welcome tonight. This event is brought to us tonight on the platform of Transformation Sanctuary International. We are a church here in the east of London, I'm in Essex, and we always Bible teachings on Sundays, and on Thursdays we have a Bible studies, and on days like this we have events that we have events that deals with life, what happens in reality, and that's why we have put this event together so that we can live victorious lives. And I'm going to, why this event? Why are we putting? People always say, "Oh, but you did one last year," and all of that. This event is brought so that we are all well equipped. We remind ourselves of the what God has actually, what how God created man and relationships, and how He wants us to be in this life to enjoy ourselves. So really, it's we share knowledge about marriage. We remind ourselves of things, that probably you did some years ago and you've forgotten, or things you should start doing, or some things you should stop, and things you should start. And we are a people, we a couple, we want to see people enjoying their marriage, enjoying their relationship, because that is the way God created it to be.
Yeah.
And God wants us to have a godly home where we raise godly children. Remember, family starts, a nation starts with the family.
Correct.
When the family foundation is right, when the children are brought up in a well, then usually you have a better society. And just to let you know, we are marriage counselors as well. We are marriage counselors, and we counsel people in case, we will get to that at the end of it. If you need counseling, please reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to do that. I did not introduce ourselves as we normally do. I'm Victoria Lawal, and with me tonight is my you know what I'm happy about tonight? Usually when we have church services, is the one that starts. But tonight I hold the mic, yeah? So this is Vincent Lawal, my personal husband. My personal husband, and yes, we've been married for a lot of years, and till eternity do us part. So we're still here. And tonight or this evening, or whatever time you are, because people are joining us from all over the world, Canada, Nigeria, everywhere, whatever the time is for you, what we're looking at, the topic we've called tonight, happily ever after, starts now. It starts now. It doesn't matter if you've been married for donkey years, or if you've just been married for a few months, or if it's just a few weeks old. It can always start now.
Yeah.
And we're looking at this happily ever after. What does it mean? It looks at the aspiration for enduring joy and fulfillment between spouses, between partners. And of course, we know that the concept is maybe if interpreted as a promise of unending bliss. That's what we always see in films, in cinemas, that, when you marry, it is unending bliss. You'll just be sailing, and it's without effort. It's just life with bliss, and you don't have to put any effort into it. Trust me, marriage is not that. And we also want to say, happy Valentine. I know some people don't regard Valentine as anything, but for people who did, or for people who celebrated one another, happy Valentine's to everyone on the call. Yesterday, Pastor was like, okay, as we were preparing for this meeting, I was like, oh, so what will you tell people I did for you on Valentine's Day? And then he started, and I'm like, that's not the way to do it. So we will revisit that after this meeting.
Ouch.
Yeah, and we want it to be we want it to be interactive, even though we won't be talking like we do during our Bible study, but we want people to, engage with us on the chat, chat on the Facebook, on Zoom tonight. So please engage with us. We want you, like we normally do. We want it as engaging as much as possible. And I know we have a range of people, a range of couples tonight where one has married, people have married 20 years ago, and some people are just married. So, like we always do, we want it on the chat tonight. We want to see how long you have been married. If you can just please put it on the chat tonight. Nice to have you, everyone, tonight. Nice to have you here. How long have you been married? Who is the oldest? We want to see. I think I know who the oldest is, but I'll keep quiet. So we want to know the oldest and the youngest couple on the call today. Please, if you can put it on the chat, just the number of years, and if it's in months or in weeks, just the 3 weeks. Or maybe no. If it's weeks, maybe they will still be on honeymoon. Yeah, happily ever after. So please put it on the chat. Please let's see. Who is on there? Who is the oldest couple? 36 years.
Oh,
wow.
Lord.
Awesome. Wow. 36 years. We've been married for 22
6 years.
22 years. 6 years. Well done.
5 years, 10
months. Okay. So we'll round that up to 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. Keep it coming. How many years? Let's see. We have a gift for the oldest couple, which we will send to you after the event. Because I tell you,
2 years. Oh wow. Okay.
23
years.
Great.
3 years. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Well done.
So 36 is still. Oh, is that Rachel?
Yes,
well done,
yes,
23.
Rachel, 23.
You look really young. I didn't know you've been married for 23 years, Rachel.
Yeah.
Keep it coming. Who else?
He first been married for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Okay, so we've got 36 and we've got 2 years. Okay.
23.
Did they say 78 months?
70. We'll have to do the maths on that one. Yeah.
78
divided
months.
by 12.
By 12.
That should come to 6 years, 6 months. 6 years, 6 months.
Okay, 6 years, 6 months.
6 months. Wow, we've got another 23. We've got 3 couples so far who have been married for 23 years.
Wow.
Have we been married for 23 years?
22.
Oh, it's 22.
And,
22.
we want to thank God.
Wow.
Media, well done for that 78. I'm gonna task you. You are making us do the maths here, but we just want to thank God for everyone who's been married for that long. We know that marriage is an effort, is intentional. And that's one of the reasons why we are having this, meeting tonight, just to remind ourselves of maybe some of the things that we've left on the shelf and some of the things that we need to take on board.
Yeah. So we celebrate the 36 years. God bless you. Well done, and keep going. And we also celebrate the youngest. I think the youngest we've seen is 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. So we celebrate you too. Well done. Congratulations. And as you can see, there are many more years. There are many more years ahead. You said we were going to send a gift to the
oldest couple.
No, we'll send to the youngest also.
Okay, all right.
To encourage them to
and thank you everyone. Could you, and we have one more question before we continue, which is, could you maybe in 2-3 words, what has kept you in that marriage? In 2-3 words, could you please just put in what has kept you in that marriage? I think mine has been endurance. Endurance.
Oh my
endurance.
goodness.
Yes, it has been.
I thought you were going to say something like love,
oh my gosh.
like joy, like my husband buys me everything. My husband takes me on all these trips, and endurance. Don't pass on the wrong message. Endurance.
I can actually say it's endurance.
Endurance.
Yes. If you are married to a pastor, trust me, it is endurance. Okay, anybody else? What has kept you in that relationship.
God's
God's grace.
Awesome.
Amen. Awesome. Awesome.
I'm seeing deep
God's
answers.
grace.
I'm
God's
seeing deep
grace.
answers tonight.
Oh,
Endurance.
it's God's and
God's grace. Oh dear. Long suffering. Oh my days. Okay. This is getting interesting. Long suffering. Oh, I hope somebody will put love,
What else? What else?
More, keep it coming, people.
Patience.
Why are they all?
So it shows that they are. It is work.
God's love and His grace. Nobody is saying anything positive about their spouses.
No,
like
God's grace
is God. It's not man.
It is God that can keep the marriage. Yeah.
Okay. More.
Yes,
He's fine. That's what I'm talking about.
She's been the one that's been married for 70 years.
For 70 months. That's why.
His face will still be very handsome, even at 50 years. 50 years. Okay.
Changed attitude. Wow. Okay. That's good. Amen. He's saying amen to your prayer. Say that his face will remain young.
Don't worry, his face will remain young. Yes. Okay. All right.
So
thank you.
Thanks,
We'll still have more interactive sessions.
Yes. Now we know that marriage is God's idea. Whatever society says, there's a huge onslaught against the family home, the traditional Christian family home, which God set up Himself. There's a huge onslaught against it by hell, and people saying it's not fit for the 21st century. We should forget about things like that. People should live the way they want. Come in, go out. You're in this relationship today, you're in another one tomorrow. There's no need for commitment. If it works today, go ahead with it. If it doesn't work, move out. And things like that. A lot of that is going on in the world today, and we're seeing the impact. We're seeing the impact on our children. We're seeing young boys who are growing up in homes with fathers who are ending up with mental health issues, suicidal tendencies, depression, and in the they're ending up in prison, joining gangs, looking for the love that they should have had at home elsewhere. God created marriage for stability, for love, for union, and we must not discount that no matter what we hear out there. And we know that was in Genesis 2:24. A man will leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. We know there's still people who leave or take their father and mother along, and things like that. He says, leave and be joined to one's wife. And one of the key ethos of marriage, again in scripture, is Ephesians 5, where he says, submitting to one another in the fear of God. I know we're very quick to quote, wives submit, husbands love. But where it starts from is submitting to one another in the fear of God. Our fear of God should reflect in the way we treat our spouses. I love saying this. This is I love saying this a lot, which is the best marriages are made in Macedonia. They're not made in heaven because there's no marriage in heaven. So you've got to find a way, a place where they're made on earth. And they're made in Macedonia. And you wonder why. Why are the best marriages made in Macedonia? Well, the Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 5, another very, very good scripture which shows how we should live our lives and in our homes. It says, and not only as we had hoped, but they first gave themselves to the Lord and then to us by the will of God. So in that you see that for a marriage to work, because God is the designer of it, for that marriage to work, we must first give ourselves to the Lord. He is the author of it. He is the creator of it. He knows what to do when we run into stormy situations. So we give ourselves first to the Lord, and then we give ourselves to each other, and then to those who we are accountable to, so they can watch over. That's why the best marriages are made in Macedonia, because it teaches us to give ourselves first, not to our spouses, but to the Lord. Give ourselves first. We belong to Him first. I think I was saying this 2 weeks ago at our Bible study. I said, stop saying, "Oh, you're my life, you're my breath," to your spouse. "You are the breath I breathe." No, God is the breath we breathe. In Him we live and move and have our being. Without Him we are nothing. So best marriages are made in Macedonia.
Yeah, but Pastor, we can still give pet names to our spouses.
Of course.
Like sweetheart.
Oh, wow. Honey.
Hayomi, my love,
But,
my joy, but not my life.
Not my life.
Yes, like you said. But of course, it will still be lovely to call ourselves, you know,
pet names,
pet
nice
names,
pet
like
names.
people call their husbands babies. Yes, good one. My baby, and you wonder how.
50-year-old man, you're calling him baby.
It's good. It's good. No, let's not knock it up. You know, one of the thank you, sir, for saying that. One of the other things we talked about, you know, lately while we were preparing for this, is that the devil is out to destroy what God instituted in the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
God instituted a man and a woman to be together. And what some of the reasons we looked at is, why will the devil always attack, especially Christian relationships, Christian marriages? And it's because the devil he doesn't want us to raise godly offsprings. Because if each and everybody, you know, if the husband is to themselves and things don't work, then sometimes the children bear the brunt of separation.
Correct.
And secondly, Bible says, one shall chase 1,000, two shall chase 10,000.
Oh, yeah.
If the husband and wife don't pray together, how will they be chasing 10,000?
Yeah,
and that's why we think, you know what, some of the things you will hear today are things that you've heard before, but it's just a reminder for you. The Bible says faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. So that's why one of the reasons why we have put this together. Yes.
So we're just saying, Justin put it on the chat. Call her husband babe.
and then
tell me my own mine.
Okay.
Mine.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, it's good to have pet names. It's fond names. It's good.
So we shouldn't just say, "Falabi, come here."
But what we are saying is sometimes our spouses should not take the place of God in our lives. And moving on, we this time around we looked at, okay, how can we liken marriage? And we said that marriage is like sports. You know, which athletes are, you know, the athletes are trained in sports. And we looked at marriage and we said, okay, how can we compare it to sports? We looked at it in 3 different ways. It could be a sprint, it could be a marathon, and it could be a hurdle. So
a hurdle race.
A hurdle race, yes, a hurdle race. And you know, we looked at the sprint. What is a sprint? When athletics are on the field and they're running. Sprints are short distance races that emphasize speed and quick acceleration. You know, like Usain Bolt. It's there.
Gone.
Yeah. So that is sprint. We looked at marathon. Marathon are long distance races, and it could be over a terrain. It's sometimes for a long time. You know, it could be over a terrain. It could be on a long road, or the long route. Like people would do marathon. Like Ife on the program tonight, I know she's enrolled in marathon, and we remember Mo Farah. You know, we did say Mo Farah. You know, when you keep training and all of that, and then we look at hurdles. What are hurdles? Hurdles are typically short races with obstacles to jump over.
Okay.
So when you are a sports person, you are having marathon and hurdles or a sprint.
Yeah.
So we did say we were going to ask you a question. Which of these races do you think represents marriage? Yeah, our chat. Which of these races? Is it a sprint? Is it a marathon? Or is it a hurdle? Or you think it's a combination of it all? Let's hear from you, please.
What do you think?
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think marriage is?
Okay, so
Marathon.
So we got
So was
everything.
everything. Okay.
Everything. Okay. Yeah.
Marathon and hurdles. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
marathon,
even if just 2 years.
marathon.
If it's just 2 years. Marathon and
Marathon
hurdles.
hurdles,
Well
thank
done.
you. Well done. Yeah. Exactly.
She's laughing.
Hurdles. Okay.
Hurdles, okay.
Right. Okay. So only person have said everything, which that will include sprints.
Sprints.
Okay. Don't even try sprints. Okay. Marathon. Sometimes a long jump. Oh dear. Long jump. Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So don't even try sprints. Thanks for that.
Don't even try sprint. Thank you everyone, for the things you contribute, for your contributions. Personally, we think that marriage is a combination of marathon and hurdles. It is a long distance race.
Yeah.
It needs endurance. It needs training. It needs effort. And then at some point in it, you'll be jumping over hurdles, which are obstacles. And as long as we know that together, we are holding hands and jumping over those hurdles together, it's not like we're leaving someone behind. While somebody fell, you are running ahead. No, we believe that, it is both marathon and combined with others.
Yeah. Okay. And I love that comment about sometimes a long jump. Because sometimes, and we'll get to hurdles in a minute, sometimes hurdles are things you just jump over and move on, but sometimes you need a long jump. It might be a long hurdle, so you need a long jump,
maybe a high jump,
or maybe a high jump to get over that hurdle. Hurdles come in different shapes and forms. So, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So we've said marriages are a combination of marathon. It's a long race and hurdles. And it's good that we all know. That. So hurdles are the things. So how do we define hurdles in marriage then? So hurdles are the things which removes or reduces happily ever after in marriages. Remember, the theme for this virtual online event is happily ever after starts now. And it's those hurdles which stops happily ever after. Some of our marriages are not experiencing happily ever after right now because of the hurdles in them. We've thought happily ever after would be something we need to do without effort. But after wedding, we're now together and we're now seeing all these obstacles. We're seeing these issues. We're seeing these challenges which are making us unhappy. And it's not God's will for us just to bear them. I know we've seen a lot of endurance and long suffering and patience and all of that. But God's idea is not for us just to bear our union. He wants us to be happy in a union. But for us to be happy, we need to put in the effort as athletes do. So we're going to look at some of the hurdles in turn. And the first one I'm going to talk about is unrealistic expectations. When we were growing up, and for us, of course, some of us are just still under 25, so let's just set the context for that. So when we were growing up, we pretty much learned about relationship much from what we saw our dad and moms do and what we saw in the immediate vicinity, immediate society, and what we saw in church. But for some of us, the only community we had was family and church. And that's where we learned everything from. But the world has moved on from Nokia 3310 to iPhone, is it 16 or 17 now? 16. And the challenge we now have is the media is controlling or is pushing out information around what expectations should be in virtually every area of life, including marriage. And so when we're setting expectations that are too high or idealizing the partner or idealizing our partners, it can lead to dissatisfaction when reality doesn't meet those standards. You've seen it on TikTok. How he, just before we started, I saw a video on Facebook. This guy took a flower, red rose, to this lady who looked like she had mental health issues, and she was on the road in an African country. And he took the flower to her and she smiled and she took it. And I began to wonder, is this a prank or is this real? You know? So unrealistic expectations everywhere, pushed by TV, sometimes pushed by our parents who see things in a particular way and feel this is how we should also behave. Second one I'll talk about also is lack of communication, where partners don't effectively express their thoughts, feelings, or needs to each other in a supportive way. And then misunderstandings and frustrations build up. It leads to assumptions. I assume you knew what I was talking about. You did not do this, you did not do that, but did you communicate? Did you communicate that? So two key hurdles there: unrealistic expectations from what we see around us. Some of us still believe everything we see on social media. We see it, we believe it is the gospel, even if it is not. And then lack of communication.
You know, on the unrealistic expectation, I have an example. When we first got married, because when we're growing up, my dad will be the one to, in the night, he will close the windows, close the doors, check that everything is security wise. You would think a man should be the one to do it. So I got married, and then this man will go to bed before me, and I'm thinking, huh? He has not checked the doors. He has not checked the windows. He has not. And initially, he used to get me so angry that it's not a woman's job to do that. And when we now talked about it, my husband said, well, in my house, it's my mom that closes, check the doors, check the windows and all of that. And we just laughed over it after it. But that's simple in itself. But sometimes, like I said, things our parents have done, things we've seen our parents do, or we've seen in the society or in the media, we expect that that's it, onkidori. This is the role of a man, this is the role of a woman. And when we get married, my partner will, always, my husband will always, or my wife will always do this. Okay, I'll move on to the next order, which is we know trust issues. And lack of trust, it doesn't just come in a day. It's the things we do daily, going into the toilet to take a phone call, and doing things.
PIN number, never.
Pastor, don't even go to PIN number. PIN number is very far. Some people, you cannot put your phone down and somebody else picks it.
And your spouse picks it.
Well, let's put this on. Okay, your spouse picks it up, and it's like, what are you? Is there something you are hiding? Dishonesty. When creating feelings of insecurity and doubt. When we begin to see little things that doesn't add up, it leads to mistrust.
That's true.
And we need to be, in a way, watch out for what we do. It can cause wounds. It can trust. Honestly, once trust is broken in a marriage or in a relationship, it's difficult to restore. But we'll get to that we'll get to the things that we can do. Just remind ourselves of things we need to do. But also financial stress. Money is the love of money is what?
It's the
root of all evil. It's in the Bible. And when financial stress, when there is probably not enough earnings, or one spouse earns more than the other, significantly more, especially a woman, sometimes in some culture, when a woman earns more than a man, the man is frowned upon, that you are not the breadwinner while you earning so much and all of that. And of course, things could come up that could cause financial stress. So those are some of the hurdles that we've identified.
Okay. Well, what about lack of quality time together? We're so busy. and we neglect spending meaningful time together, which can lead to emotional distance. There are couples who are at home together and yet they're separate. They might as well not be in the same space. They're both at home, but they're not present. Either one is on the phone or the other is on their laptop, and everyone has something to do. And I always say, you start seeing problems in your marriage when what brings you together are projects such as children, or projects such as we have to parent, or we have to go to work and all that. And there's little interaction. People are home, but they're not home. I'm back now. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so you're back home, but you've been on that phone forever, checking and sometimes I'm like, people are on their phone. You are not doing business on the phone. What are you using it for? So when you're calling, yes, you're calling, but even with calling, there are times when it's good to make some of those calls before we get home, so that when we're home, we're actually present. Because you can be home and making calls and not being present. So that's also just as important. Your presence at home does not equal to being present. You could be home sleeping all through. You're not present. And lack of quality time is a big hurdle in a happily ever after marriage. And then, of course, there is, we'll come, thanks for that, we'll come to that, unresolved conflict. So we've talked about trust issues. Unresolved conflict, sometimes it starts, sometimes I wonder, a few times when we have a misunderstanding, sometimes, it goes through, and then later on, I reflect on them like, how did that lead to just that little thing, that tiny thing, become so, we just flared up. Meanwhile, at work, somebody may say something more than that to you, and you're like, oh, come on, just forget about it. Things like that. And yet it comes from your spouse. We just take it so, and you get so angry. It starts so little, and then it blows out of proportion. And at the end of the day, when you're trying to say, okay, so what really started all of this? It's something tiny, something minute. Avoiding and not properly addressing disagreements can result in resentment and building barriers between partners.
Well done, Pastor. Just the little thing. Sometimes when you mentioned that it could be something little that will tip it over.
Yeah.
There has been a build-up. There has been other things that, he did this, she did that, I didn't, I'm not going to get angry over little things. But then they're piling up. And then it's just, could you bring water out of the fridge, please? And then the person forget. How can you not forget? How can you, and that blows up. So
that was how I asked you to bring it out last year, and you didn't bring it out. 7th of February last year, I asked you to bring water out, you didn't bring it out. 25th of December, you repeated it again. 31st of December. It's building up. It's been building up.
Building up. More hurdles. When you are in a marathon and you're running, or you're having a marathon hurdle. Sometimes when we have different life goals that's not been discussed, or incompatible values and beliefs, usually when we are courting, some things, everything is hunky-dory, you don't mention some things. And over time, couples may realize that their long-term visions or long-term or medium-term visions don't align, leading to issues with compatibility, and if there are differences in the core values, it tends to bring separation in marriage. When one is going, the other one is going south, and they're not discussing it at all. Which leads back to the communication you mentioned. When our goals does not align. Another hurdle is insecurity. Some of us, from our background, maybe from what you've seen, from what you have heard, from what our parents have done, there's that sense of insecurity. I remember my dad of blessed memory. He was telling my sister's husband to be, then intending husband, that don't trust women. I'm not kidding. Don't tell everything that you do to women.
So and all of that. Was saying, don't trust my daughter.
in a way.
Amazing.
You know, and if the daughter was not, if his daughter was not regenerated, because my sister found this, that why would dad say that? And I think at their generation, they believe that men are superior, and they don't discuss things with their wives or their spouses, or maybe they just do it and that's it. Nobody questions it. So, and that can bring insecurity, because you think you've already been told by your parent, don't trust your wife, don't trust your husband. Oh, men are not to be trusted, you know. They can do and undo, you know. And that can create feelings of inadequacy, and which lead to undermining, you know, to control issues, which undermines trust. So insecurity is a big ordeal in marriages.
That's true.
Did my sister say yes to what I said? Okay, all right, she didn't. Okay. I thought. Yeah, go on.
So, you know, we keep going back to this happily ever after. Is it possible for us to have a happy home? The answer is yes, a resounding yes. Why? Because that was what God created it to be. So let's not settle for anything less than having a happy home. And when we say that, we're not saying if you're not happy, move on or move out. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is with God's help, we can work on ourselves and we can be better and have a happy home. That is very, very much possible. And that's the message we'll be pushing through this interaction tonight. We know this is common intimacy problem, you know, physical or emotional intimacy issues, which can strain the connection between parties. And again, trust could be the issue. While there's intimacy, conflict could be the issue. We saw long-term sickness there. That could be an issue, which then leads to lack of intimacy, financial stress. All of the things we mentioned above can lead to intimacy issues. And when intimacy issues occur, it then means people are tempted to do things outside. And when they do things outside, it then ends the marriage. But that's another hurdle. And there's some homes where there really isn't any big hurdle. But again, the traditional mindset or where they're coming from or how they see things on TikTok has affected their intimacy. Intimacy must be like this, must look like this, and it must be, oh wow, it must be steaming hot and all of that. And it's not happening, and you're like, oh, something's wrong. We must have candles and flowers, you know, all the way from downstairs to upstairs to the room, you know, and all of the candles everywhere. Go on one knee. Okay. Good luck with that. So intimacy problems, clearly an issue. Parenting differences also. How about parenting differences? One parent sees it as, no, let them grow, you know, and they will learn. They will learn. Another parent is, no, let's make it structured. One parent is a free spirit. The other one is structured. It can create. What's wrong with candles? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But you don't have to have candles every time.
Please, if you like candles, just tell him to get the candles.
Just make sure that the candle doesn't topple over.
Exactly. Let's avoid fire disaster. Yeah. So
candles are good.
Candles are good. Candles are very good. Yeah. Childlessness also can be a hurdle. Yeah. Definitely. So parenting differences, but again, we'll get to how we address those issues. You want to take the last two?
Okay. The last two that we're going to discuss, just there's so many, but we just picked quite a few. Is self-neglect. And and this is, I wouldn't say this is common with only women, but of course sometimes women can self-neglect. Men do it too. So if each one of us, we don't prioritize our well-being, it can affect our relationship. And leading to burnout and frustration. When, you know, I grew up where maybe I'll say sometimes when you see in some environment, you see a woman coming and you think, when they mention the person's age, you're like, is that person? We thought the person was 10 years older than that. And this has nothing. Some people, it may be as a result of illness, it may be as a result of. But when you don't have all of those and you self-neglect, there are people that you walk past and you look back like, is that smell coming from that person? When we neglect our own well-being and we don't look after ourselves, then it can be a big ordeal, because the other person may be, and then if they are not, if he or she is not happy with what is at home, then that can be a big ordeal. It will cause problems in the marriage. But we will be talking about solutions in a minute. And the last but not the least is when we have external pressures, pressures from in-laws, social expectations, work-related stress. It can add pressure. We have there are lots of pressure around us. That, especially even when we go out, that home is meant to be a haven where you come into and you have peace.
Yes.
But when all those external pressure we bring in to the home, it tends to build a wall of separation between us, and that can be a big ordeal. In-laws, I've mentioned the in-laws, social, what we expect, what we see on social media, and all of that. So yeah.
Thank you. I think just on that self-neglect, I've been reflecting on that, and we need to take care of ourselves, especially our health, for our own benefit and for the benefit of those around us, including our spouses. We can't just let ourselves go. It doesn't benefit anyone. Sometimes there's this weird notion that once you are married, look, you are Christians, you're in this for life. You can't go anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. That's it. And we start behaving old when we're still young. I had a meeting with my HR partner at work this last week, and we were talking, and his children are younger than mine. Basically, I'm older than him and all that. And yet I was looking at the guy, and his demeanor and everything looked at least 5 years older than me. But I'm older than him. And I was just thinking, guy, man, you need to take care of yourself. Number one, for yourself. And then number two, for your spouse and for your children. We shouldn't just, I'm using a guy to play safe. I'm talking about a guy, not a lady now. Play safe, so that we don't, because we enjoy the benefit of it when we do it for ourselves. So that's what I want to say. When children are not living up to expectations, yes, ma'am.
Yes, when our children are not living, of course, and that could come from parenting, the different parenting styles. Because I think we had a session where we talk about parenting styles and all of that.
Coming up with another one.
Even if we've done all of that, all we can do is to believe God for those children for a change. And talking about, sorry, I'm still coming back to self-neglect. Sometimes when we neglect ourselves, and Pastor said something, sorry, I'm calling him Pastor Vincent. He said sometimes when we marry, because we think we are Christians, we just feel,
we take each other for granted.
We take each other for granted. And that person, you've forgotten that your spouse sees people at work who are trained
every day.
You've forgotten that your spouse who goes to the gym sees people who are muscular. So it's not just men looking at women now. We ladies too, when we go out, when we see good things. There was a day, remember, Pastor, I think we went to theater, and I saw a guy. He had a very flat stomach, and I was like, wow, look at his stomach. And my husband was like, so you can see? I said, yes, we can see good things. But we should not neglect ourselves.
It's not that I have tummy, by the way.
It doesn't have tummy.
Let's be clear about that.
I'm just saying somebody that had a six-pack. You know what?
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's work in progress. It's a hurdle I'm trying to overcome. 6-pack. I'm working on that.
You need to speak to me, Dave.
Mide, can we connect after this call, please? I know what my wife wants.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, overcoming hurdles and restoring happily ever after should be our goal. It should be our priority. A happy home is foundational to everything else around it. When we're supportive of one another, when we're happy, we can take on the world. We can take on any challenge out there. But when the home is not what it should be, it creates a lot of challenges for us. And I'm sure with all the hurdles we've discussed tonight, I'm sure we can all relate to it. Some of us have had it before. Some of us are going through it right now. And some of us will face such hurdles in future. And that's why it's important to create avenues like this where we can talk to one another. That look, you're not alone in that challenge. And there's a way out. There's a way forward. Don't resign yourself to, my home will always be unhappy. Don't resign yourself to that. That is not God, what God wants for us. So, we mentioned quite a few hurdles there. Can you please put in the chat, I don't know which one resonates with you, what you think the solution can be to some of these hurdles. Any solution which comes to mind to any of the hurdles we've mentioned, whether it's unrealistic expectation, lack of communication, trust issues, financial stress, lack of quality time, unresolved conflict. I don't know. What do you think? Let's talk about solutions that we think will resolve some of these issues. Yeah, okay. So yes, thank you for that. Communicating your feelings. Yes, thanks, ma'am. Please, let's have more. Communicating your feelings, I was thinking about it this afternoon that actually our spouses want us to hear, to listen to their feelings, not their reason. Their feelings. How many times have I spoken to you in the kitchen about work? This is happening. That's happening. That is happening. And one good thing my wife never does is to like, but you're wrong there. Or, have you not done this? Have you not done that? No, she'll just listen. So if I'm saying, my boss, say, that's your boss, Seth. If I like, is that other person? Say, how can that person behave like that? I'm just saying that she's listening to my feelings, not the reason, just the feelings. And that suits me. And I can go back and continue working. But sometimes our spouse starts off with something and we just go straight to the solution, for them. Say, my boss is putting a complaint against him. No. Say, my employee did it, sack her. No, that's not the issue. Or you just want to be listened to and all that. So look after yourself. Yes, that's important. Spend quality time listening to each other. Don't stay on the phone.
That's
I'm listening to you right now.
Okay, go on.
I'm still listening to you right now.
At least thank God you are talking now. When we first got married, I will do all the talking and my husband will listen for 24 hours. And at some point, I said to him, you know what? I'm not a radio.
I've stopped talking.
So now he has started talking. So that's good.
Yeah, there was a time my wife said to me, I do all the talking in this marriage. I've stopped talking now. I'll stop talking. I've learned from you. I won't talk anymore in this marriage. I was like, hey, Lord help me.
Okay, next one.
Anyways, so spending quality time, be open to each other. Of course, yes, don't carry a burden alone. Trust us to come up with, that's fair in terms of your spouse listening to you. What if you're wrong? That's not the issue. That's not the issue. You can tell me later that, you know that thing we discussed in the afternoon? You might actually be wrong, you know. You might need to do something about it.
Later.
Yeah, but that's later. But at that moment, when I want to lift it off my chest, I'm not looking for advice. I'm not looking for solution. I just want a listening ear. And I think we men are often so solution-driven, evidence-based, that we apply that same principle to us. There is one I'm trying to get my wife to move away from. My wife is a contracts negotiator. So I'm saying to her, don't contract this marriage. Don't put us in that contract portfolio. We're not, no, you can't contract this one. No. Anyways, correct each other's shortcoming politely.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Being intentional about my mental and physical health.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes. Check your spouse mood before attacking him or her. Word. That's deep. There is a right time to say everything, to talk about everything in marriage. There is a right time. But there are times when my wife will say, you know, right now I can ask you for any amount of money and you will give it to me. It's a right time. Word indeed.
Yes, set boundaries with outside influences. That's very, very important. Yes. We need to set boundaries and not just allow everything and anything to influence. I think sometimes I'm guilty of this, and honestly I need to say this. Sometimes Pastor and I would have said, okay, this is what we want to do and all of that. And then by the time I speak to my friends or my family, and I'll just say, oh, actually we're changing it. And he'll say, but this was what we agreed on, you know, and it's something that I'm beginning to actually think, once we've agreed on something, even if we need to change it, bring it back to that person to say, oh, actually, I've spoken to this person and this person, this is what they said. Do we think we can be flexible? Not just, oh, I'm changing it and that's it, when we've agreed on it. Yes. Yeah. Boundaries.
This question there, who is setting the boundaries? It's got to be us, isn't it? Yeah. It's not set by our parents, it's not set by our family, it's not set by outside influences, it's not set by our pastors. It's set by our boundaries. How do we want to live? How do we want to move forward? Because a lot of times external pressures dictate things, and it just puts unnecessary strain on our marriages. Thank you, people. You've been very, very engaging. That's really, really good. Okay, so we now want to work on the possible solution. So we said, like athletes, restoring happiness or harmony in relationships or marriage requires investment. That's training and discipline. Marriage requires investment. We must invest in each other. Investment. You know, I was speaking to one of my senior brothers yesterday, and the way he was talking about the way he's missing his wife, and my wife is with you right now. I want her. Oh, she needs to be here, and all of that. It's an intentional thing.
Is that the way you miss me when I'm away too? But you don't tell anyone.
You know, even you're away, I'm away with you.
Yeah,
anyway, you are away too, I'm away with you there, and all of that. I said, the rest of we travel together. We do mission trip, we're there together. Holiday, we're there together. Yes, sir. Training and discipline, intentional efforts, desire to make it work. There are people who have resigned, and it's just like that, and there's no desire. There are Christians who, in their minds, they're wishing for separation and divorce because they've led the ship to sail by the wind. The wind is just blowing them anyhow. But that, like we keep saying, that is not God's intention. So intentional effort, desire to make it work, endurance, patience, and understanding. Those are the things which removes the hurdles or the obstacles to happily ever after.
Sorry, Pastor, you just said those are the things that actually make us skip over those hurdles. You know, they don't remove them. Everyone will at some point get into a storm. You know, and the storms are hurdles. But what the storm can do is it can break us, move us apart, or it will bind us together.
Yeah.
You know, discipline, it shows that, you know, I'm going to go over that hurdle. Yeah. Intentional effort. I'm not going to let this hurdle to you know, when it falls.
Yeah.
You know, you go over it.
Yeah.
And desire to make it work. Yeah. So that's what
okay.
I say.
So we'll take some of the solutions then to some of the hurdles and obstacles we've mentioned. So we'll take some of the solutions, and thanks for everything you've put in the chat. So we're going to break it down now. So the first one, you know, we talked about expectations. You know, we need to accept that marriage does not change our spouses to a superman or superwoman who will meet all our needs. Marriage doesn't do that. In fact, it seems to me like if your love was going on 100 miles per hour before marriage, it looks to me like once you say I do and you get married, it just drops down to 30%. And then you have to build it up by commitment. What was free flow previously, when we're girlfriend, when we're fiancés, free flow love, free flow, I want to see you, once I finish from work, I'm coming to your place, and we can go out on dates and dinner, and all of that, free flow. Once we are married, reality sets in, he just drops down. And then it takes commitment to then start building it up. So when you expect that, oh, the love will grow after we are married, you can be in for a surprise. You might wake up one morning and look at the person lying next to you and like, how on earth did I get myself into this situation? Why did I marry this person? You know, maybe the slowdown is the start of the marathon. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, you don't start a marathon with all your energy.
So. Yeah,
you build it up. Yeah.
Prior to the marriage, it's sprint. Everything is quick. Bam. It's nice. And we take that. And once you get into the marriage, the marathon starts. You slow down. We're not doing Usain Bolt anymore. So we need to accept that and prepare ourselves for compromise. You can't go into a marriage like, no, I won't cheat. You have to come to the middle to agree on things. And best you do a lot of that before you start. Whilst you're on the sprint, best to agree those things. I see lots of couples today who got married without premarital counseling. And I'm like, how can you get yourselves into a car and drive at full speed and yet you've tied a veil around your eyes? You can't see where you are going. So no one has removed that veil. You've tied it on your eyes and you've gotten into the car and you're driving at full throttle. What do you think will happen?
Crash.
There will be a crash. That's why pre-counseling is important. And if you did not have it premaritally, then have it post-maritally.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of things. Marriage is the only institution where they give you a certificate at the start, not at the end. You have completed it. That's your certificate. Now begin the marathon. Second one is open and honest conversation. Listening actively. Like we said, listen to the emotions, not the reason. They're not asking for advice. They're asking for comfort. That's all. They're asking for comfort.
Listening is different from hearing.
Yes.
I think listening takes it takes an effort. Intention. You need to listen to the person to know what they're saying. Not just you are hearing it and you're thinking about something else. Or before they finish, you interrupt and give them solution.
That's
you
true.
know.
That's true. Or you're just waiting for your answer. You got your answer ready. You're just waiting for them to finish. For sometimes you don't need an answer. All you need might just be, oh wow, that's terrible. Or the exact, oh, that's all. That's all. Oh, and the person feels better, and the person feels like they can talk to you. But when they share it with you, and you show them where they were wrong, what they didn't do right, and why they won't talk to you next time. Why? They hear that at work every day. Why should they talk to you? But listening to our emotion, I think that's one of the key things we should take away today. Listening to each other's feelings, needs, and concerns without judgment or interruption, and also, and when you are talking, also express your emotions clearly. Share your thoughts and emotions honestly, but with kindness. There's these things, men, I don't know if women experience this, it's called flooding. Flooding is when so much talk, so much information, like the woman says, you've not done this, you've not done that, arguments that the guy feels flooded. It's like so much information has come, and he's thinking, how do I respond to that? And more often than not, his first response is, okay, fine, and then he goes. Because he can't, at that moment, coordinate his thoughts to answer everything you've said. Let's learn to be kind when we're expressing emotions. I see a lot of women who, whilst giving birth, they slap their husband. Seriously? Like seriously?
It's the pain, it's the pain,
it's the pain,
So, but that thing was inherent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one day I'll slap my husband.
They take something. They say, this is the only opportunity I'll ever get. After this one, never. And this is the last child. I didn't do it for the other two. They say, oh, Paul, come. Yo, Paul.
It's the pain.
It's the pain. He said, okay.
Oh my God.
I mean, these things happen. We are marriage counselors,
so
we see these things. So you just wonder.
It's the pain. It's the pain.
It's the pain.
Honestly.
And then you slap. The pain.
It's unintentional. Thank you.
Oh, seriously? Okay.
Sometimes if men could actually feel the pain women go through in pregnancy and when delivering a child, I think more men, honestly, Pastor, more men will love their wives more. It's just the same way sometimes when we don't really revere our moms. When you begin to have children and you see wow, so this is how, especially moms, that my mom had to go through this. You now start having that bonding, that relationship with your mom, the respect that you never had before. So in a way, men should, they can only imagine.
That's true.
But the pain that women go through childbirth, men should, take care of their wives, and not only do it during Valentine. Okay, like my we have a guest, and she said yesterday that it was so busy. There were a lot of people on the road. There were a lot of flowers being bought, and I'm thinking, I hope that's not the only day we as people buy flowers or buy gifts for our spouses. Let Valentine be an everyday occurrence. Okay. Am I?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and we did talk about spending quality time together, that when you can be present and not being present.
Okay.
You can be home. I'm coming back to that. Yeah. You can be home and not really home when you are doing, your own thing, or you are sleeping, and you are not having family time. So some of the things we think that can help us to spend quality time together. You can have, we normally fall into small routine, so we should make an effort. Let's make an effort to do something special every now and then. I remember, we don't do that anymore. Maybe we need to do it again.
Which one?
We used to take annual leave. We will both take maybe half a day off work, and we'll pack our sandwiches and everything, put it in a backpack, and we go to London. We go to the park in London. We go, go around London. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a big holiday. Spend quality time with your spouse. Create those little moments, with your spouse. Every now and then do something together without the children. Without the children. Do something. Even if your children are young, you always put them with a mind out, keep them when you go to work. Find somebody to look after them. and spend that time together. Spending quality time together. Try something new. Take a new challenge. You can both learn swimming together.
Yes, yes.
You can travel somewhere new. You can pick up a new hobby together. Help rejuvenate the connection you've got. We've actually planned to do something, a few things this year that we didn't do before.
I've not done before.
But if you want to know about it, speak to me privately.
Yeah.
Yes. Make your spouse feel special. Like some.
Imagine that is making me feel special. Yeah, touching my bed, that's making me feel special.
Don't you feel special?
I do feel special.
Good. All right. Okay. Prioritize your time together.
Yeah.
Reconnect by doing activities. When we were courting, it was always butterflies and all that. Yes, it may not be butterflies now anymore because we are running a marathon race. But there are things that we can do together to rekindle those moments we had. Sometimes all you could do is just take out the old albums and you're looking through it together. Especially people that have been in it for some time. Oh wow, we used to go somewhere, we used to do this together, rekindle time, rekindle new things together. And peradventure, if the trust has been broken, trust takes time to rebuild.
Yeah.
You should not, in some counselings we've done, you find out that some couple, that maybe a spouse does something to the other person and say, but I've said sorry. I've said sorry, she should forget it. She should have gone over it. She should have gotten over it by now. No. You can determine your actions, but you don't determine the consequences.
Okay.
When you've done something, hold up to it, take responsibility for it. But when you say sorry, allow the other person to process it.
Go through it.
Don't just say, oh, but I've said sorry. Let's get on with it. Let's just leave it behind. No. We all have different temperaments. If you're somebody who processes something, it may take you some time to process it and come out of it. But you too, don't take forever. Once we've said sorry, let it go. Don't milk it. I'm like,
I will hold on to it for 10 years.
Yes. Rebuilding it, like you said, when it's been broken, takes time. Encourage your partner, be accountable for your actions. Don't say, oh, but you've done it before too. I'm doing it to you as well. Wow. Yeah, it takes time, and we need to have dependable actions. So let's learn to be responsible for our actions, and even when we are responsible and we actually show godly sorrow, allow the other person to process it. Don't just say, but I've said sorry, so why are you still brooding over it? So it takes time. Yes, sir. Next.
All right. Should I do number 5?
Yes, go on.
Okay, so walking through conflict. There's a session we'll have at some point in future, which will just focus on resolving conflicts in marriage, because that's a very, very big issue, and we're not going to cover tonight, but someday we'll do that. When at a Bible study in church, we've just moved from Genesis 13 to Genesis 14, and in Genesis 13 we saw Abraham and Lot. We saw they had a conflict, in terms of the herdsmen fighting and things like that, and we saw how we resolve conflicts as believers, as Christians. Abraham was the top man. Lot was his nephew. Abraham could have screamed at Lot. Abraham could have commanded Lot. Abraham could have done any of that. But what did he do? Abraham calmly called to Lot and advised him in terms of what he needs, how they would resolve the issue. And he started from what was common to them. He said, we are brethren, we are brothers. Let's not fight. We are brothers. And this is the solution I am proposing. The solution which Lot should have rejected, but he did not. So, how do we walk through our conflicts respectfully? Number one, we need to address issues calmly. There's a school of thought which says talk about everything in your marriage. Yes, it's good to talk about everything, but there's a timing for the talk. He is angry already, or she is angry already. That's when you are still trying to prove a point. What will he achieve? More anger. That's not the time. We need to learn to address issues when our emotions are calm, not when they are afraid of. And then we need to focus on solutions. That's not, you know how we talked about slapping somebody when you are giving birth and all of that. Some of us, we wait until our conflict period, when we're in conflict, to vent out, to vomit all the bitterness and anger and everything we had on the inside, which we had not been able to express. You did this, you did that, you are this, you are that. Your mom told me before I married you that you are like this, I should never trust you, blah, blah, blah. We know. Name calling and all of that, not like babe or Tammy. No. You know what type of name calling I'm saying. Name calling, negative name calling just doesn't help anyone. Focus on solutions instead of rehashing past mistakes. And then when you have then had that discussion, or if you decide not to have a discussion about the issue, there are times when that's the best thing to do. Let go of the resentment. That's the most important. Let go. Sometimes we discuss it, but we're still holding on to the resentment. Other times we have not discussed it and we're still holding on to the resentment. What is important is letting go of that resentment, forgiving one another. Holding on to grudges can eat away at the foundation of our relationship. We must learn to practice forgiveness. God forgives us every day. We must learn to forgive ourselves also and let go of our expectations leading to frustration. My wife had to accept that I'm not going to lock the door after, to be honest, I've been doing it. To be honest, I've been doing it.
After 22 years.
I've been doing it lately. You see, in that period, I was always saying that Jehovah Nissi, the Lord our banner, he keeps our home safe. Nothing will happen. But she will want me to go and check, Let go of expectations which causes frustrations. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next one is showing appreciation and gratitude. We do know that in the season of love that we are, we show appreciation, we show gratitude, acknowledge positives regularly. Show gratitude to your spouse. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't even have to give a gift. You can just say thank you. When they help around the house, he knows. Anytime he helps around the house, I'll tell him 20 thank yous in a minute. I do that, and he does the same as well. Compliment one another. Come on, you look really nice today. In fact, when okay, no, I'll
say it. No, say it. No, say it. Let's talk about it. Say it.
Yeah,
talk about it.
What do you know that I want to talk about?
I know what you want to talk about. After 22 years. I know what to talk about it. Tell them.
So when we sat together this evening, and I said, "Oh, you look really nice. I think I bought the jumper." And he said, "Yeah," and it's part of appreciation and gratitude, isn't it?
Did you have to put in the fact that you bought it for me? Did you have to put that?
I just wanted to, because I know what fits you, and it suits you. Everybody can see how handsome he's looking. This is my job for 22 years. God has been helping me. Amen. Anyway, show appreciation, celebrate small victories, appreciate small things your partner does. Sometimes we always want them to do the big things before we say thank you. Please, thank you is two words that in our relationship should be fluent. Thank you, oh thank you for that, oh thank you for this, oh you look lovely. Sometimes we go out and we see people outside and we appreciate them, how they look and all of that. And yet for our spouses we don't even compliment them. Wow. Let's learn to do that. Good.
We compliment other people's spouses more than we compliment our own spouses. Something is wrong somewhere. I know some men who will see other women, oh wow, You're looking dashing. You're looking beautiful. Oh, wow, that looks so good on you. But they won't say such things to their own wives, to their own spouses. That is wrong. Now, okay, so reigniting physical and emotional intimacy. I'll try to keep this very, very short because you all know what I'm talking about. Your spouse is more than a friend. Your friend, in fact, your spouse is not your friend. Your spouse is not your associate. Your spouse is not your best friend forever. No. Your spouse is not a work colleague. Your spouse is your spouse.
Well,
A father, he has left his father and mother. She has left her father and mother and joined. The joining should be one flesh. That's what the Bible says.
Word.
One flesh. All these that we see nowadays. No. Just I don't have time. Not at all. Intimacy is the only thing you can offer your spouse that nobody else can. Somebody else can cook. Somebody else can offer a listening ear. Somebody else can offer supporting words. Somebody else can offer friendship. People do that every day. My wife was saying to me yesterday that a friend of her wished her happy Valentine. So we can even go as far as that, wish our friends happy Valentine. But that intimacy, if somebody else is offering that intimacy on your behalf, something is wrong. And if you don't expect somebody else to offer that intimacy, then you do it. Because it's an obligation for the relationship. And that's very, very key. That's very, very important. Let's stop pushing our spouses to look outside.
Or we don't use sex as a weapon.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't use it as a weapon of mass destruction. Don't destroy your own home. Intimacy is that one thing that no one else is allowed to offer your spouse. And it's your responsibility. And the Bible says, actually, you shouldn't have power. You don't have power over yourself. Your spouse has power over you. And it's the same way. It goes both ways.
Okay. Thank you for that. We will be rounding up very soon. We just got a few more and then we will round up. We mentioned self-care, at the beginning that there's an hurdle, and we know that we need to take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, physical health, to make us a better spouse. Trust me, there are better looking people out there that your spouse can see. And they shouldn't come, or he or she shouldn't come home and start, oh, wow, how come this house, or even the house environment, the home environment, the ambience, especially as women, take care of ourselves, take care of our home. So that when people come home, an husband doesn't want to go out and come back home into a filthy environment. And I'm not saying, even in some cultures, men do it, they clean their house and all of that. But let's take care. We need to take personal care of ourselves. And one other thing is, let's have personal space. You cannot be with your spouse 24 hours. For our own mental health. If you love reading, you can take a book. You can read a book. You can go out with your own friends. It is safe. It doesn't have to be only with our spouse. But when we were discussing this, we said we will put a caveat to it. That, men should not just say, oh, they've said, the pastor and his wife have said, have personal space, and then you keep going out with your friends at the neglect of your own family or your own spouse, or a woman, oh, I'm going out with my friends today, we are going on this party tomorrow. Everything should be in moderation. But it is important for us to have a personal space, because we are still individuals, though we are in a marriage. So let's have time for us personal space. But much more, let's not be like some culture that, they come home, all they do is they just wear this big long boo-boo, or, you just let yourself go as a woman. Do exercises. take vitamins, look well, dress well, smell well, for and let's focus on our self-care. Yes.
Thank you. You know what came to my mind when you were talking about that personal care. Especially when our children are very young, and maybe the wife, usually the female spouse, is taking care of those children. And oftentimes the man comes back, oh, I've had such a long day, and he comes back home and he just wants to be served and eat and go to bed because he's going out the next day. But the woman has been with those children all day. I think for her mental health, sometimes it's just good to take those children off her and give her time to do other things. And usually, if it's somebody like my wife, you give her that time, she'll probably be in the kitchen and then start doing other things which the family will still benefit from rather than herself. So it's important that we help, so it's not the spouse saying, I want my personal space now. It's actually encouraging them to have that personal space. My wife told me that, oh, she wants to travel in May and all that, travel abroad. So, of course, yes, off you go. Go enjoy yourself. Just stay 2 days and come back. Anyways, patience and perseverance, people. We've said it's a marathon. It's not a sprint race. For all the things we have talked about, we need patience. They're not going to work in 24 hours. We have to continue to invest in it day after day to make it work. It's not going to happen straight away. We've got to be patient with each other as we navigate through the ups and the downs of life. Some people get into a crisis, midlife crisis, and you've got to help some people get into menopause, women get into menopause and all of that. And it's how do we help our spouses navigate that difficult emotional terrain. And relationships require continuous effort. We need to keep showing up and prioritizing that connection. Prioritizing my marriage is important to me, and I'm showing it. I want my marriage to work, and I'm showing it.
Yeah, and last but not the least, we do say that if you have done all of these things that we've mentioned and much more, and there's still issues, please seek professional help. Speak, some people, they can have marriage counselors in church, or some people, you may want, somebody neutral so that they can be objective. If you are going through a challenging time, a tough time in your marriage, and all of these things you have done and it's still not working, and you pray, please, you can still seek help. Seek help out there. There is, like we said, when you are running a marathon, it's you want to be happy. We don't want to endure our marriages. God, the way God created it is, He formed the garden, and then He put man and woman there to enjoy, to explore, to do different things. We've talked about tonight, to keep it, to explore and do all of those things. That's still God's intention for our marriages. God does not want us to endure, just to, just keep tugging at it. No, pray about it. Speak to someone. If you feel overburdened, speak to someone and let them help you navigate it. Sometimes therapy can be useful, even if you don't want to speak to, maybe your spouse does not want to go to a counselor and all. You can just speak to a therapist, just for them to hear you. Sometimes, what people want is so that they can be heard. And when people, sometimes when you offload something, it makes you feel better. Yeah. And lastly, but not the least, we do say as well, change starts with you. Not the other person. Change starts with you. Whatever you want in your marriage, invest in it. You will see it. There's law of sowing and reaping. It will always come back to you. If you want love, sow love. If you want affection, sow affection. Show your spouse that this is the way I want to be. This is the way I want affection to be communicated to me. Show affection. Don't always wait. Oh, my husband will have to do this first before, or my wife will have to do this first. And I pray that God indeed will help us as we navigate through life. And till Jesus comes, we pray that our marriages will stand.
Amen.
We will not be part of, the people who are divorced today, it's not because they set out to do it.
So that's what
it's because when they ran into the hurdles, instead of overcoming the obstacles, they let the hurdles make them fall. And are out of the race. And if you speak to some of them, if there's no physical violence and people go their separate ways, sometimes they are more sad, even when they've divorced, than when they're in the marriage. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. So, in conclusion, happily ever after is possible, and it can start now. One of my mentors say, it is never too late to do the right thing. Never too late to do the right thing. We're really pleased that you've been able to join us tonight, and we hope you've got things you're taking away. Remember, it is intentional. It is something you have to work at. Marriage is like athletics. It takes intentional effort to be the best. So please, let's take these things away and go work on them, and it will be the better for it. So we've shared all of this on the platform of Transformation Sanctuary International Church here in East London, in the Raynham area, on Military Sunday at 10 a.m. You can join us on Facebook for services, or you can attend in person. We're only in East London here. Join us on any of our services and you will be blessed. This video, of course, is on Facebook, so you can go back and watch it. We also have uploaded to our YouTube channel at Transformation Sanctuary 4412. You can go there. All our messages, church messages, just messages are there. So you have a plethora, you have a library of messages. Our Bible studies, our Sunday messages, and events like this are saved there. So it's been a privilege to host you this evening, and we hope you found this useful. Our next event will be focused on parenting. So what we try to do is do one for marriage and do one for parenting. Our next event will be focused on parenting in the near future. So please keep an eye out for that. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. And we hope that's been useful for you.
Please take something away tonight. Like we said, it's a reminder of what we all need to do. But remember that the intention of God is that we are together until He returns. And we hope and pray that your marriage will stand the test of time. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you all, and thank you for attending. We will keep you posted of our next event.
Yes.
God bless you.
Have a good evening, everyone. Good night.
Oh. See you next time.